name is Kirsty Dignam, and I'm going to do a reading for the energy this week and the upcoming full moon, which I believe is Wednesday in Cancer. I hope everyone has had the celebrations that they needed in order to move forward into 2021. That feels like a real mouthful, and I can't help but smile, which is a really positive note. I don't know about anyone else, but the last few days in particular, or the last days of 2020, seem to have been bringing up a culmination of emotions, and I guess that ties in with the Cancerian full moon, but it feels like the shadow aspect of our emotions. And for me personally, almost an urge to go back in order to see how far I've come. So an example, I have given up smoking for a year, over a year, and a few days ago, for no reason at all, I have 1,000,001 excuses that I could use for starting to smoke, and I managed to push through them all. And a few days ago, for no obvious reason, I started smoking again. And this morning I felt okay with it. Now, I'm not advocating anybody smoke. I'm not advocating anybody do anything that isn't beneficial to their health. And the truth of the matter is that smoking isn't beneficial for my health. I'm aware of that. But I felt at peace that I had made a decision, because with that came the second decision to then stop again and to actually have a date, to plan it, to put it out there and let it go, to continue as normal until that date comes and stop smoking. Well, I noticed with the smoking in particular, it wasn't the reasons behind the smoking. It wasn't the cause of smoking. It was the constant berating myself for having a craving after a year, or wanting something that I knew wasn't very good for me, and beating myself up for that. When times get hard, we do reach out for something we have linked or associated with love. Whether that is relationships that aren't particularly positive for us, whether that is addictive behaviours, or emotionally eating or smoking or drinking, especially this time of year. I didn't follow my own advice, or rather, I was aware of my own advice on the previous video about watching overindulgence, and I forgot. I became complacent, and it's all par for the course. I have two options now, like us all. When we make a decision on something, I can either beat myself up for it and continue to smoke and continue to go round and round and round in this old story that I'm telling myself, or I can see it for what it is. A yearning for some love, for some nurture, for some time out, for some care, and start to not replace it with other things, but hold space for that. Christmas Day for me in particular, despite it being a day of joy and celebration, was incredibly hard. And there were many reasons, again, that I could put to it. But the more reasons I tried to put to it being hard, it was like I was giving myself permission to feel something. And the more I did this, the harder it became, to the point where I realised it was the need for a reason, an explanation for my behaviour, that was actually causing the pain. The inability to hold space for what I was feeling and observing it, rather than getting caught up in the old story of linking it to something. And we do that. We link it to past lives, we link it to previous relationships, previous scenarios, and we excuse our behaviour rather than accepting it and holding it in that moment for what it actually is. In the medicine wheel, currently we are in the space of the unknown, in the north, the hero's journey, the ancestors, living our life from the amber nectar. And it doesn't feel like that when we don't know what is occurring. There is great safety in knowing and having a plan and a routine. I myself have been trying to do it unsuccessfully, because at the moment everything is interwoven on the collective with my own family and with outside circumstances. So I can only do the best that I can do in each moment. Now that has changed several plans that I've had for this month, including certain courses and offerings in the group, which I'll leave a link in the comments to. So for now, I am reading for this moment with action steps based on what we can do in each moment. Being present, that is what I'm offering at the moment. So in the space of the unknown, there is great potential and much that can be brought to light, but not if we don't sit in the unknown. Awareness comes from observing and witnessing and allowing something to unfold to be what it needs to be. My old patterns with the smoking would have me either setting a quit date immediately now, which would put additional pressure on myself, knowing that I'd set myself up almost for failure, or not stopping, believing that I'd done the best I could, which I did, and leaving it at that for another couple of years and I would try again. I've met myself halfway and I have set a date to stop again, and from now until then, that is all the attention I'm going to give it, apart from this video, obviously, knowing that in each moment I will do the best I can, because I always have. And that changes from moment to moment. So with this full moon coming up in particular, I personally feel a very, very thin line between ourselves and the collective, which is always thin, but it feels particularly emotionally thin. And that seems to be coming to awareness for myself and many other people that I've been talking to. It feels really relevant to ensure that we are balanced in all our elements, the way that we think, the things that drive us, the healing that we may need or need to let go of, in fact, the idea of healing, and the physical steps that we can put in place. It feels relevant that we keep not only our elements balanced, but ourselves centered on our own medicine wheel. So for that reason, for this week in particular, I'm going to do a medicine wheel reading. And it feels like it's time to get on with it. I'm going to use, I've forgotten her name now. Chris Ann Donnelly's The Light Seers deck. Now, the reason I'm going to use these this week in particular, they're very, you can see from the characters, they're very relatable. They look like real people. They're very relatable, and that feels like the key emphasis this week. Everything we're feeling is triggering certain aspects within us that is relatable. So if we feel something and we react to that, it's because we still have a relatable part of that within us. So like a big collective stream, yeah, if we're feeling an energy and emotion come through us and it triggers us, there's a block there that this collective stream can actually help us shift. If we just think, oh, yes, I can relate to that. Yes, I see that in myself. And just breathe it in with the awareness around your own physical medicine wheel and let it go. Easier said than done. Granted, easier said than done. Self-care is always, 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 always the best way to initiate change. Basic needs. Are you being fed? Are you being watered? Are you getting enough nature? Are you being supported enough? Is there enough love in your life to get you through this process? There's a difference between witnessing and questioning something and judgment. Now that sounds really obvious, but it's again that really thin line. Christmas Day, I witnessed my emotions, I felt them, but my logical mind had taken over because they were painful. And this is what happens when we experience pain. Our logical mind takes over, it takes us away from our body. And when we're not present in our body, we then can't feel it, we then can't initiate the changes, initiate our own medicine wheel within us. It is difficult when we are so used to being in our mind. But if we can witness, without finding an explanation or a logical reason or even something to fix it or make it better, if we can bear witness to what is occurring in ourselves and the world, just like water, it will shift. So self-care is key this week. Nurturing, mothering ourselves, okay? With interest. Everything we experience is teaching us something. Everything we experience is teaching us something. For me to quit smoking, all the time I have this energy that wants to berate me over and over and over. I'm going to replace it with something else, whether that's work, whether that's relations, whether that's food. It's not alcohol or anything like that anymore, but I will replace it with something else. Spirituality. I will bypass what is occurring. The only way to get through something is to go through it, is to feel it, is to allow it to go through your system, witnessing it and then releasing it, to birth it. So with that in mind, I'm going to do a quick reading for the week. For the medicine wheel. I hear get a grip. I cannot get a grip. Interesting. I couldn't get a grip for the north, for the unknown. I couldn't get a grip. I couldn't get a card. And I want two for the middle because it feels like, okay, yeah, they coincide. So in the north, with the get a grip comment and being unable to hold on to what I was trying to get across, the Four of Cups. Yeah, the Four of Cups. Now, what I see here with the Four of Cups, that hand, that side, that hand offering this cup, this new way of being, this new container of emotions that's being offered to us, this emotional maturity that is being offered to us. But we're too busy looking at how we normally react. We're too busy looking at all the other things that we've celebrated in life, all the other births, all the other things we've created and how we've created it. An emotional maturity here, almost being asked to collectively collaborate. It's what I keep hearing over and over and over. To feel these things and create with them, not just for ourselves, but for others as well now. Because this celebration on our own, for our own means, it isn't enough anymore. It isn't enough anymore. The Four of Cups always reminds me of boredom. And you can see that she's just looking out into the distance. She's not noticing all that growth around her or this beautiful colour coming in or this downloads coming in. And she's bored. She, he, the energy, bored. Absolutely bored. And when we're bored, we do like to make work for ourselves. We do like to dig deeper, and I'm a classic for that. Dig deeper than we need to. Give something more meaning, more explanation, more physical validity. Sometimes things are just what they are, and the more energy we give to it, the bigger it gets. So particularly leading up to this full moon, I feel a real vulnerability with emotions, not only ours, but the collective. And it is what it is. It is what it is. Yes, there is risk of almost taking on other people's stuff, almost being, I don't like the word psychically attacked, but almost being very vulnerable, open, raw. And from that situation, being very vulnerable, open and raw. So what do we need to do? It is what it is. Yeah, sometimes we can give it way more energy than it's needed, and what would be a wave turns into a tsunami because we're bored. Yeah, we're not used to things being easy. We're used to things being hard, and when things can be easy, it's almost like we haven't done enough. This is an old way of being. It's an old emotional maturity. just love how the tarot work and how we can actually bring them into everyday experiences. I have paused the video. I had to pause the video because my son actually came down to use the bathroom, and I found myself sat like this, literally waiting for him to use, the bowl to release what he didn't need anymore. And boredom is a funny energy. It's a opportunity to stop, to pause. And the mind often struggles with that, the unknown. Often we try to fill it with things that aren't actually needed or necessary. Emotional maturity, the patience to wait. Because then in the East, in the place of the eagle and the condor, the sunrise, the beginning, have the Six of Wands, victory. And I love how this looks like a Christmas wreath almost. It's a laurel, but how it looks like a Christmas wreath. Opening up to our full light and our full potential. Putting ourselves at center stage right now feels really relevant. We can say it's the collective. We can say that it's other people pointing things out and everything else, but actually be aware of what is being emphasized and brought to light for you. Be aware of your shadow, because within that lies great treasure, great victory, if we can hold space for it and put it center stage. In the south, in the place of shedding our skin, our connection to the earth, healing. Two of Swords. Yeah, so this is the present moment, the south. Two of Swords. I want to say it's pretty self-explanatory. Just looking at that picture, having peace with no more needed. Blindfolding ourselves to what isn't necessary anymore. The old callings, the old stories. The Two of Swords, and the moment I start talking about what it could mean, I just feel like my brain has switched off. Have peace with what's relevant. Let go of what isn't. It's what I'm clearly getting for this present moment in the south this week. Because in the west, in the space of Jaguar, Otorongo, the physical, the teachings, the lessons, how we move forward, what we need to let go of by reabsorbing back in. What have we discovered? Nine of Pentacles. Yeah, our physical importance. This week in particular. Our emotions can really highlight what we are feeling physically if we hold space. If we feel them within our body. Not getting attached, not giving them a story, not trying to fix them. Being present with them. Yeah, and then you can see that almost looks like an eagle there. When we have that awareness, that's when we have that growth. Physical body, physical body. Okay. So at the center of the wheel, I wanted to pick two, and it felt like they were a mirror image of each other. And ironically, one that I picked was the Eight of Swords. So you have that mirror image there. And then the next one was the Three of Swords here. There's an awful lot of separation occurring, an awful lot of pain that is coming from she said this, he said that, this is your feelings, that is your feelings, this is that, this is this, they did this. You know, it's all a reflection of the collective. However, she isn't actually tied up with it. So witnessing the collective, being aware of it, but not getting dragged into it. Try to go above from the perspective of pain. Try to go above that, because the swords are mental energy. What does mental energy take us back into? The north, back into the air aspect, back into boredom. Okay. Yeah, I will say it. When we are energetically trained and very aware of energy coming in, we can keep our aura clear. We can, ensure that our homes are clear, ensure that we are protected, or we have our rituals, our ceremonies, whatever. We are all nosy. We all, I wonder what's going on with so and so. And when we're doing that, we're doing it from a space of boredom. Yeah, we're doing it from be present in that moment rather than letting the mind scatter. Train your mind now. Train that aspect of yourself that is so able to jump from one spot to another. Because if we're jumping from one spot to another energetically, we are also picking up on those energies. We are also getting tangled in the dramas of others, interwoven, not knowing what is ours, what is theirs. On a higher level, they are one and the same. But from that aspect, it can be almost like I'm getting the analogy of untying wool. It can be really complicated. So always bringing it back to the self, bringing it back to the center at all times. Is this relevant to me? Including this video. If it isn't, don't make it relevant. Let it go. Is this going to physically help me move forward? Yeah? Is this going to help me grow? Do I need to grow? Or am I already ripened? Am I ready for the picking? Have I grown enough this year? Is it time to just get on with it? Because boredom in the north, in the unknown, can often come from not feeling like we have enough. Everything's stacked up and we don't feel like we have enough to start that next project, to move forward from the old stories. Have we learned enough? Maybe we need to go back, much like myself. Now, there is great treasure to be had there. By going back, I've realised that actually my body did feel better not smoking. I didn't realise at the time because I'd got bored. I'd got complacent with not smoking. But actually my body does feel better when it doesn't smoke, because that is the most caring thing I can do for myself. It did take me going back to realise that. And if that is the case, then it's part and parcel. It is time to put all those things in the spotlight now, to put ourselves centre stage and look at our emotions. Look at the things we are telling ourselves and the things we are feeling. And if it isn't relevant, if it's causing unnecessary heartbreak, unnecessary pain, unnecessary suffering from old stories that suffering has to happen, in order for us to see how far we've come, that things have to be this challenge, that we are separate from source or from our higher self or for what is destined for us. That's all we see reflected back, and it isn't actually the case. So I'm going to pick one more from the top, and as I do, I hear why. King of Cups. Just flow with your emotions. That's that one cup from this one here, almost being handed. The King of Cups. Emotional maturity this week. Emotional maturity. Now, I do not mean don't feel. That's up to you. I do not mean sever and put boundaries up. Again, that's up to you. What I mean is do what is relevant and right for you this week. Okay? Witness yourself. Put yourself in the spotlight. What do you need now in order to move forward? In order for 2020 to be the victory that it could be. We've all had opportunities to learn an awful lot this year. We've all had a lot of growth. This full moon gives us I feel that in my higher heart. Whew, it went this full moon gives us an incredible opportunity to say, I am done with that now. I can take this stagnant water within me and just let it go. Just let it all flow. Thank you for the collective for bringing this up. Thank you for these energies triggering me and letting me see that I still had some dense logs within my body that stopped that flow, and now I can let it go. So the other card, and I will do it because I think we've only been about 20 minutes. The other cards I really felt drawn to pick today, which I haven't really worked with. I've had them for years, but I haven't really worked with, which feels relevant. Energy that we have had death and rebirth. Energy that we've had for years but not really worked with. Feels like it's trying to come in that space that we fill up with boredom. So the cards that I decided to pick are the Phoenix cards by Susan Shepherd, and they are reading and interpreting past life influences with the Phoenix deck. Now, I've had these, like I say, for a long time and not really utilised them. So maybe over this week, looking at things that you've had or have kept for quite a while and not been using, either use them or pass it forward, or really tune into that. Let's see what the cards say. I'm going to pick one for this week, and I really hear it will be picked for you. I really hear that. So this is number 4, which is beautiful because it reminds me of the Emperor. Yeah, it really reminds me of the Emperor. Now, I will look up the meaning of this, but what I can see here are the serpents, this Kundalini shift and change, and this cross in the middle regarding elements and balance. My left ear is buzzing. Religion, dogma, old patterns that we have worshipped. That's what I really feel for next year, that many things are to become more sacred than they are, ourselves included, in our own perspective, which means really looking at what we've been worshipping, where we've been sending our energy. How empowering is it to give our hopes over to another? Yeah, that feels really strong. This almost looks like a teddy bear here for me, though. Again, that inner child nurturing I see here. He's incredible. He's absolutely incredible. So let's see what he says. So it will be picked for you. Okay, I can really take this on board myself. It's the Mayan Jaguar Priest. So the symbol you have chosen depicts a stone relief sculpture carved by the Mayan Indians of Mexico and Guatemala. This particular piece is believed to be of a Mayan priest dressed in rich garments, with intricate headdress, seated in the mouth of a dragon. I couldn't see the dragon, which for me is a really powerful message. I couldn't see the dragon. That connection to the earth, the ley lines, that really grounded, powerful energy, I couldn't see. The skull necklace around the priest's neck is that of a jaguar. I thought it was a teddy bear, which is beautiful to see something as, you know, the jaguar in the Mayan wheel is to do with the West and to do with the ego and the shadow, and I saw it as a teddy bear. So that's yeah, big teachings for me. Not fear there anymore, but a comfort, because our shadow brings so much to light, doesn't it? So much to light. Which infers that he is a jaguar priest capable of shape-shifting. The ability to change into other creatures or objects is a common theme among Mesoamerican Indians. It is interesting to note the contrast found in the Mayan art. The lines flow into each other. Feels really applicable. I wanted to find a different word than relevant. Really applicable for this full moon. The energies flowing into each other, but key images are blocked into place. Okay, so yes, flowing into each other's energy, flowing into the collective, but look at those key images blocked into place. So for me, it was the serpents. Yeah, it was the healing. It was the cross. It was the balance, the elements. It was the jaguar, the teddy bear, the crown, the connection to my higher self. Those key elements, solid, the grounded energy that we're looking for. This indicates the mind's sense of a linear yet flowing universe. We can try and be separate from the collective as much as we like, but what affects one affects each other. And if we all take responsibility for what we're feeling as part of one, it flows much, much easier. So that's the place, the time, the groups. Let's have a little look. The languages, the appearance, the traits. Conclusion. Let's go to the conclusion. If you have chosen the Mayan Jaguar priest, you have an intellect capable of making incredible leaps, which is wonderful, but a intellectual mind bores easy. Yeah? You may think in a purely abstract or theoretical way. For this reason, you may have trouble sharing your ideas with others. You are quiet and discreet, but there is a strangeness about you that others can feel. If you are interested in astrology as the ancient Mayan Indians were, you might compare your far-reaching nature to the planet Uranus. To you, every thought is a concept or secret formula. Really clinging on to that quite tight, actually, that can be worked out only through relentless analytical thinking. And I was really clinging on to that card really tightly. Maybe this week, just let go of the overthinking. Just loosen the grip. I know the first card said get a grip, but get a grip on why we're so bored. Get a grip on why we have to figure things out, on why we have to analyze things. Get a grip on that, an emotional grip on that. What sometimes looks like pure intuition on your part is actually the result of many years of mental work, mulling over problems on a subconscious level. You yearn to know the deeper truth of everything. Though your mind is brilliant, your thoughts are often erratic. Yeah, finding those images, those things that help to keep you grounded. Yeah, Jaguar, the ego. For me personally, when it all gets a bit too much, my ego soon tells me, helps me get a grip. The balance of the elements, yeah, the healing. What am I actually gaining here? How is this relevant to me? Do I need to go through this again? Mathematics, the vision. You cannot feel at peace with yourself until the secret is free and out in the open for you to inspect. This kind of vision, which is typical of you, is more internal than external. Your special sight is like the swell of colours and images that bloom beneath the lids when sleepy eyes are closed, just like the Four of Cups, that rainbow image there. It is the sight of higher consciousness that propels you deeper, not only through the sight of careful observation, but also the vision of emotion and intuition. Now, as I was reading that, I found myself thinking, so the whole reading, is it better to overanalyze then? Is it better to go deeper? And go deep. Just don't drown. Go deep, but bring into awareness your emotions from going deep and what you're actually doing about what you can see and what you're finding. Yeah, keep it balanced. Be aware. Bring it to consciousness. How do I feel about that? What can I do about it? Let it go. Okay? So I'm going to close this card with this part. There is one problem with this card choice. It is difficult for you to remain interested in only one thing and your mind tends to drift. Four of Cups, yes? Sometimes so do your sentences. When you talk, your brain is working on many different levels and you may ask a question and answer it in the same breath. This is the way your intuitive mind works. It is much like a private floating world that surrounds you at all times. Your personality is that of the absent-minded professor. The spaciness is the fragmented way your mind assimilates knowledge, grasping and feeling its way to a true revelation. Eventually, the entire concept will emerge with startling clarity. You share the probing insight of the Mayan Indians of Mexico, and this is a very good time for you to live and benefit humanity with your advanced and unusual knowledge. I love this. I love that the Mayan priest is coming up right at the end of 2020. Having just finished several courses related back to 2012 and the Mayan calendar and clearing up those last few bits so that we can reassemble them, it just ties in beautifully for the energy for the next 12 years at least, up to 2032 in relation to the Mayan calendar and the Mayan prophecies. But all of this, without feeling into it and finding what is relevant for you and without taking action, is an idea. It's just an idea that has triggered something in you, much like the collective right now. Anything that triggers something in you is a mere concept. What you choose to do with it based on how you feel and the actions that you take, that's where the real hope comes in, and the real religion and the real magic, especially for next year. Okay, so on that note, this week, In particular, yes, be aware of everything that is going on. Yes, dive deep if you need to dive deep. Don't forget to come back up. Don't forget to reascend into physical life. Apply it to life. Make it relevant to your life. If it isn't, let it go. Chop wood, carry water. Okay, there's going to be an awful lot coming in the next few weeks, like that rainbow with the Four of Cups. Take what you need. Give the rest back. Take only that you need. Yeah, only that you need. Including insights, including information, including this video. So on that note, I'm going to make a move, and I wish you a wonderful week and an incredible full moon and lots of self-care and nurture. Take care. Bye.